You're laughing for some reason. Not sure why.
Oh, well. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Doing It Livestream, episode 20, boys. Our time is up. I hear a beep.
Well, all right. Hey, good seeing everybody.
That was episode 20. And yes, today's topic is we're going to each reveal our top 5 villains. I hope the people in the chat will reveal their villains along with us, much like last episode where we did top 5 heroes. GLHG asked an interesting question. We will get to it as soon as we introduce who is on the stream with us today. We will start with Whoop.
Ooh. Well, hello there.
Say hi to everybody.
Hello. Good to see you all. Welcome. Come into my room.
All right, that's enough of that. All right, we're also going to have Delvin the Dark Web Williams. Hello, Delvin.
I mean, you just can't pop people up on the big screen and not give a warning. You know, what else? Picking my nose. I could hide that if you were, smaller picture.
It reminds me of the time that you redecorated your office during the live stream. I think Tim was here for that. He was on that episode.
That's right.
Yeah, I figured that the biggest attraction was the binding talk. No one was paying attention to me. They're like, oh my God, sit down.
Yeah, you were very distracted. Hey, we got Tim Vincent from Omaha Bound.
Hey,
Tim.
I'm planning to rearrange my office during this. So.
Okay, great. Well, it's a fan favorite.
Yes, it's a thing that people do. So I hear.
Oh my goodness! So our friend and sponsor and great guy who does wonderful hardbound comics is back, Mr. Tim Benson.
Yeah.
And just checking the chat, I want to say hello to GLHG and Courtney and Chola. And there's 3 other people watching who have not signed off in the chat. Come on in and say hello. We got nice people.
Yeah. Come.
Like I said, today's episode is all about going through our top 5 villains roster. They're just our 5 favorites. We've each brought a list. And I will do my usual thing where I kind of keep track of everyone's picks, and then I'll assign them numbers. At the end, I'll reveal who our aggregated favorite villain is. But before I get into all that, I want to give Tim the big board, because, Tim, you had an announcement to make, didn't you?
Yeah.
Big board for Tim.
Oh, big board. Oh, I got big board. I'll get props.
Oh, okay. Rearrange your office. It's a fan favorite.
So, yeah, we do, obviously, custom-bound books. We've talked about that on the show. But we also do 1 or 2 kind of publishing projects throughout, 1 or 2 a year. And so last year we put out The Wretch. This year we're doing a follow-up, a series called Fringe. So this is a proof of the upcoming Fringe book, also drawn by Phil Hester but written by Paul Tobin back in the 90s. This is a Caliber book that they worked on, and it's never been collected before, so we put it all together, did all the restoration. It was 8 issues plus some kind of bonus stories that popped up in other anthologies. And then Paul, after 25 years, wrote a new ending, or not a new ending, wrote the ending to the story, and Phil did some new illustrations. So we're launching a Kickstarter this month to bring the Fringe into print. We'll also be doing kind of a companion volume with Fringe artwork, and then we're going to offer the Wretch Omnibus as part of this, and a new Wretch art book. So we're launching 4 books in one campaign, all focused on Paul Tobin and Phil Hester's work in the 90s, back from Caliber and Slave Labor Graphics. So main thing, launching a Kickstarter, so we'd like some money. So send us your money. So lots of rewards and books and PDFs and all the things you expect from a comic book Kickstarter. But that'll launch later this month. So check it out, share it. Be happy to have the extra eyes on it, and excited to have this book come out. Looking at it the very first time when I was first introduced to it, I was like, I don't know if that's for me. and then I read it, and it just blew me away. So I found a lot of great stories from those early '90s, kind of caliber books, and this is definitely one that stands out for me. So excited to bring it into print and showcase something that Paul Tobin and Phil Hester, common names now, but this was one of their first projects ever. So
Can we see the proof again real quick?
yeah. So this is just
Called
kind of a
Fringe.
mock-up.
Okay. Proof print. I got
This
you.
is a real image from the book. One of my absolute favorite things Phil Hester's ever drawn. And yeah, just love this image. But Phil did a new, we made this proof, and then Phil did a new cover. So we'll have a new cover for the book, and just finished the gray tones on it last week. So everything is wrapping up. I spent my day today doing final text edits on the book, so it is ready to go to print tomorrow. So Kickstarter will launch, and we'll be ready to fulfill day one.
Day one. That's the way to go. Have the project done. Awesome. So you heard it here first, folks. Omaha Bound will be doing a Kickstarter. Do you have the official date for that, or it's just like later in the month?
August 18th is the date we'd like to launch. Kickstarter takes a couple days to approve things, so shouldn't be any problem. But we, as you can see, we want to have everything done before we really put anything up there. But essentially, the day Kickstarter approves the project, which should be Wednesday, we'll launch a sign up page.
Okay. All right. And I'm sure you'll be talking on social media. We'll be retweeting you and
definitely
all that. I think you guys have done a really good job. And as a reward for the good job you've done, Tim, I'm going to add Jason to the stream. There you go. Delvin's behind. Delvin got stuck behind the shield again.
Get behind the shield, Delvin.
Why does the program hate him so much?
I don't
there
know.
we go. I'll take you the shield off. Well, welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you. It's good to be here. See, we got a full house here.
We do. I think you just heard Tim giving us the rundown on his Kickstarter that's supposed to start in about 9 days.
Yes.
Let's all go chip in on that, back that, and get some perks. I think he said for everybody who chips in $5 is a free binding in it for him. I think that's what he said.
Oh, I got some stuff to get bound. I'll give $15.
All right, he did not say that. Would be very clear.
Free bindings.
He didn't say that
Hold
at all.
on. What was that website again? I'll do it right now.
It's not a website we can say on the air.
Okay.
I think Delvin's saying
Delvin's
something.
on mute. Are we all going the mute thing again?
Mute on 3.
1, 2, 3. Mute.
What I was saying is, the good news is the Kickstarter has made it and it's launched. The bad news is we're out of business.
All in the same day because Jared made a joke on the live stream. All right. Well, awesome stuff. Don't forget to check out Kickstarter and look for Omaha Bound's Kickstarter in about 9 days or so. 9 or 10 days, you should be good to go. So hey, we're here to talk about top 5 villains. I had to scroll all the way back up because GLHG dropped this. What makes a good villain? I mean, anyone can be bad, but what really makes it evil in the end? Who of us has not done something bad in our life, and what pushes us to the final step to be evil?
Deep philosophical thoughts.
I've never done anything bad in my life, so that doesn't really apply to me.
I immediately thought of about 36 things I've seen.
34 of which you were part of.
I was part of. 2 of which I was like, oh no, don't do that. No. Well, as you'll see when we get to my list, I'll give you a little hint, GLHG, on my list. I like villains who are either tragic villains that don't necessarily want to be villains, and I also like villains who don't think they're the villain. Those are the best kind. Villains who think they're heroes are my favorites. Those and tragic villains. So a little hint there is what's coming your way. So, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Shall we just start revealing our number 5 spots?
All right.
All right.
It's kind of iffy.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Before we kick that off, we just did the announcement of the Kickstarter at Omaha Bound. Okay, and we're about to do our first round of villains. So you people in the chat, get ready to tell us who your number 5 villain is. But also, if you're in the chat, don't forget to type out "I want to win" to get entered for this episode's giveaway raffle. So I want to win. In the chat, please, if you want to be entered for this episode's giveaway raffle at the end of the show.
I'm getting my notebook. All right.
Yeah, I got a blank piece of paper myself. So we've got what's the word? Redundancy.
Department of Redundancy Department.
Pat Sampson, you can't win.
You know what? You're right, Jared. I can't win. But, just being here with you guys and people in the chat, I'm a winner already.
It's very sweet.
You still can't enter the contest, though.
So if you're watching the show and you're not already in the chat, hop in the chat and put "I want to win," and there you go. We're starting things off right. Ross Michaud, whose avatar I like because I drew it.
Very nice.
Playing favorite.
And Delvin does look good in yellow. I do not look good in yellow. I'm too pale for yellow. But Delvin, good news, Delvin, you're not too pale for yellow.
I'm not.
What's the opposite
Make that
of
yellow
pale on the color wheel?
It's Delvin. It's like I'm on one side and then there's Delvin on the other.
There's Delvin's face on the other.
I can't do the yellow. But no, that's a popping shirt. And I think Ross Michaud owns that shirt as well. Because I see the picture.
He does. I saw him with the picture and I'm like, I want that. Like, so can you give it to me? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, damn it.
That looks like, I don't think you heard me.
Stole it.
Yeah, I'm digging it. And then, no secret, I got off of Amazon and then sure enough, I just happened to click on it today. And, they do if you like this, and then I saw like a Black Panther shirt and a Falcon shirt. I'm like,
ooh.
They just kept you clicking and clicking and clicking.
I see what their algorithm's doing.
Yeah, I do too, and I like it. I will probably be getting both a Black Panther and a Falcon T-shirt from Amazon. They know exactly what fiddle to play.
Storm, just keep it going.
They don't Falcon.
Hey, fellas, we sold a Night Thrasher shirt. You would have bought that anyway, though, because you're a Night Thrasher fan, and I like Night Thrasher too.
Dude, a Night Thrasher on a skateboard? Ooh, I would get. Now I want a Night Thrasher.
I know, I kind of do too. I'm like jotting it down. Night Thrasher T-shirt. Okay.
If only we knew an artist who could do a design for a T-shirt.
I don't know about skateboards though.
Yeah, you're right about that. Good thinking, Terrence.
Pat, he does the skateboard. We can have Pat Thrasher.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep. My
Have him
my
all
wound is
skinned up.
healed. Yep.
Are you healed up now?
I think so.
Oh goodness!
Oh,
all right,
there.
He's showing some leg, everyone. Wait, let me give you the big board.
Man, you're only supposed to do that for the $5 patrons. $5 or higher. Show that.
All right. Well, let's get rolling into our first round with our favorite villains, starting with number 5, because Pat can only stay for a little while, and I think Tim's on a timer as well today. So you're probably going to end your show with just me, Jason, Delvin, and I apologize for that.
We're going to tease you with this feast, then we're going to take it away.
So number 5, and we'll just go around the clock, which means I'll start with Pat. Pat, who's your number 5 villain?
My number 5 is it is a tough one, as Delvin was kind of saying. It's hard to pick a good villains. So I've kind of been going off of what I've been hearing and watching in my mind lately. And my top 5 right now is Ra's al Ghul.
Oh,
nice.
Race Ra's, yes.
Race, and that's the problem. That's what makes you a good villain, because people don't know how to pronounce your name correctly. You got 2 fears. You got that name or that other name. I don't know. But then you can just call him Al.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, good.
I called him Betty once. It did not go well.
So Ra's al Ghul in the number 5 slot for
Yeah.
Just go into the chat real quick. I see number 5 for Papa Wolf is Lex Luthor. It may or not be his haircut. And Mama Wolf's is Ultron for number 5. And let's go to Delvin and get his number 5 villain.
I tell you, like, I apologize in advance for my list because I thought some more, and I'm terrible with these lists already. Like I've always said that, but like my 4 out of my 5 are Marvel, and I shouldn't apologize for that because like I collect mostly Marvel comics, but I was like, I gotta get a DC villain, and I was like, well, what's the first DC villain that popped into my head that I just think is like a fantastic character and definitely a fantastic bad guy, and it was Sinestro.
Oh,
Sure enough, the yellow is fitting for that, right?
It is.
Like Sinestro, he's just a bastard. He is he's arrogant, but most of all, he's good. He is really, really good at what he does. Like, and not only is he a good Yellow Lantern, like he is the founder of the Yellow Lantern Corps, which is fear-based, he was a damn good Green Lantern as well. And like and possibly better than Hal Jordan at one point. So like every time that Sinestro comes on to the screen or to the comic book, you know that Hal Jordan or whomever the Green Lantern is at that time is going to be in for a fight. And it usually is some philosophical fight where, you know, Sinestro feels that what he's doing is the right thing, even if it's for the wrong reasons.
That's
my guy.
Yeah.
I was going to agree with that. He was going to make my top 5.
But he didn't.
No.
Courtney's got
I gave
Lex
it to Delvin.
and Lena at number 5. Oh, you gave yours to Delvin. That's nice. Well, Courtney's got Lex Luthor and Lena Luthor. Courtney's cheating a little bit, but she's allowed. Let's go to Tim. Tim, number 5.
All right. I'm going to follow Courtney's lead and cheat too. So I knew I wouldn't have enough time to get through every villain in comic books and narrow it down to 5. So I deliberately went and just said Marvel. I'm going to pick 5.
Okay.
And also, I don't like DC. No, I'm mostly Marvel. So I just to keep it clean for me, I just stuck with Marvel. And I'm going to cheat a little because I have 6 on my list. So I'm going to combine number 5 and 6 and say, my number 5 villain is the shadow organization, the Hand.
Okay.
And I really like it when the Hand kind of absorbs other people like Omega Red or Elektra and some of those others. But the Hand just as ninjas, number 5.
Yeah, when they absorb people, it's like hand in glove.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like with glove, it goes top.
With that,
Yeah, we
get it. Yeah, let's just check.
We get it.
GLHG. His number 5 was Darkseid. He's done it twice and destroyed everything. Darkseid for GLHG.
Sometimes pronounced Darkseid for whatever reason.
Yes, there are some people who say Darkseid.
Again, one of those villains.
One of those villains. You know, what is it? What's the name? I guess that takes us to you, Jason. Number 5.
Garrock, petrified.
Garrock, Your Honor.
Disqualified and wrong.
No, I agree. I was racking my brain, and most of the villains that I came up with, likewise, were Marvel. I think they have some of the best villains, most compelling characters, and I've just naturally gravitated towards Marvel comics most of my life. But this one's kind of floated. Started with Marvel, actually part of a toy line, and that's Storm Shadow. I'm going to include Storm Shadow as my number 5.
I thought about doing Joe villains, but I didn't. But I like it.
I think Storm Shadow is one of those characters that is motivated by honor, and honor can quickly become hubris, and I think he's one of those characters that didn't realize when his honor crossed that line into hubris, and became a villain for a minute, and he's kind of floated back and forth over that line. Plus, he's just really cool. Visually looks awesome. Has an amazing skill set, and every time you got a comic book with his image on the cover, you know you're in for some kick butt reading. So, Storm Shadow comes in at number 5 for me.
I like it. And I guess I will bring us home with my number 5. I told you I liked tragic villains, and my number 5 slot goes to the Man-Bat, Kirk Langstrom from the Batman universe.
Nice.
I've always liked him. You could sort of easily plug and play Dr. Kirk Connors and the Lizard if you wanted to lean it towards the Marvel. They're pretty much the same story. I just like the Man-Bat better just because I like his look a little better. And plus, I always thought when I was a kid, I thought it was so cool that the hero was Batman, and then there's a character named Man-Bat. I was like, that's so cool and clever. And then as you get older, you're like, somebody took the easy road on that one.
Sometimes the best things are the simplest.
That's true. So I'm a big fan of Kirk Langstrom, the Man-Bat. I love those tragic characters that don't necessarily mean to be villains, but make really good ones. And I just got to say, every story that I've read, every Bat story that I've read where Kirk Langstrom has shown up and the Man-Bat has shown up has been a good one. I've never read a bad Man-Bat story. So he gets my number 5 slot. And so just to recap our first round, Pat had Ra's al Ghul. Delvin went with Sinestro. Jason went with Storm Shadow. Tim went with The Hand. And I went with Man-Bat. So that is the end of round 5 as I change out the banner to round 4, which I have one. Oh, look at that. Already made. I want to remind the people in our chat that if you want to win a free something at the end of today's raffle, at the end of today's episode in the raffle, type I want to win in the chat. So just hop in the chat there and put I want to win, and we will get you entered for the raffle at the end today.
3 names so far. Got Courtney, got GL. We have Ross.
I did not catch the GL, so I got you. Excellent.
I thought I typed my name in.
And then, yes, and Pat Sampson.
Yes,
also.
we deleted it.
I read your name. It was in invisible ink.
You support me in becoming a Crusaders Club member. I'll support you in this raffle. We got to form an alliance.
Him also wants to win.
What the what?
Delvin, you can get in on this. You could win something.
I might have to sneak my name in a little bit later.
I'm going to put Tim on there just because, he's a sponsor. So, it's basically paying for his own raffle. All right. Okay. So that is the end of round 5. Who's excited about round 4? The number 4 villain. Ooh. And we started with Pat last time, so I'll bump it over 1 and start. I'm gonna go over Pat. And I'm gonna shoot it to Delvin. Anyway, Delvin, who's your number 4 villain, and why?
I had to look on my list very quickly. My number 4 villain is Green Goblin.
Ooh.
I got to thinking a little bit about Green Goblin, and of course, off the top of my head, there have been 3 Green Goblins, but one doesn't really count. They tried to make him a good guy. That didn't really work. He's dead now anyway. Yeah, who cares? But the main 2 that I'm talking about are, of course, from the Osborn family, Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn. And in a way, Harry is the better Green Goblin as far as that personal foe to Peter Parker. The stories are so much more personal. Both times with the major reveal of Norman Osborn as Green Goblin, both were accidental. When they originally created Green Goblin, they did not create Green Goblin with Norman Osborn in mind of being him. That kind of just came about by accident. It was not a purposeful thing. And then all of those years later, at the end of the Clone Saga, where things were such a complete mess and they had no idea how to end it, they had to resurrect Norman Osborn and bring him back as the ultimate bad guy that was behind all of the machinations. That said, Norman Osborn is going to cause a lot of pain in Peter Parker's life. And the story between him and Peter Parker has always been intimate and personal, whether it's Norman or whether it's Harry, to the degree that there was a whole Superior Spider-Man storyline, and Doc Ock had taken over Pete's body and clearly was acting like a different person. And then finally, near the end of the storyline, Norman Osborn was chasing him around thinking that it was Otto. And all it took was one quip. And Norman just stopped and just looked and just like, it's you. Like he knew it. It is deeply personal. They absolutely just like despise each other. Norman Osborn at this point, he's taken such insane lengths as merging with the Carnage symbiote to fight Peter Parker. He hates him just as passionately as you could ever hate someone. Norman Osborn hates Pete because I guess Norman Osborn can never add, like, as all the money in the world, all the influence that he has, he can still never be the man that Peter Parker is. And I think it just has ruined him for the rest of his life, which makes for a tragic villain. So he's my number 4.
Can you elaborate more?
Yes. Let's go back to issue 150.
Check it out, Courtney Holland. Her number 4 is a tie between Destro, Cobra Commander, and Chola's for Papa Wolf is Darth Vader, and hers is Shredder.
Ooh, gee, I had a good question. Hey, Ron.
Hi, Ron. Welcome to the chat.
Shredder is the number 5 on my top 80s cartoon villains.
I can probably verify that because Pat decided to go above and beyond and make a whole bunch of top 5 lists and mail them to me today. Not sure why. All right. So now that we've got Delvin's number 4 as Green Goblin, and we've heard from some folks in the chat. I haven't seen this question pop. Oh, I see the question now from GLHG. Who would make a good villain from the Longbox Crusade?
Oh, ooh.
I mean, we have one person that keeps stealing everybody's Hallies. That's pretty.
That's true.
We're not sure who it is, though. We're looking into it.
So. No, it's literally you. Like you say that you're stealing it, and then you have gifts of people stealing random things. So it's
unclear. It's unclear.
Unverified.
It's verified.
Do we have a nemesis? Do we have like other podcast nemesis out there? I mean,
no, we love them all.
Yeah.
For a quick moment, I had a rivalry with David Gutierrez, Ace Gutierrez. But like we didn't keep it going very well. Wasn't that?
There's Al Milgram. Al Milgram's our arch nemesis.
Whole backstory there we won't get into.
Yeah. No.
Let's just roll into our number 4 villains in here from Mr. Tim Benson from OmahaBound.com. What do you think, Tim?
My number 4 is going to X-Men. I've got the Sentinels.
Oh, nice.
He's big on plural villains, I see.
Yeah, I know. It's right. Yeah. I mean, the robots, they're just cool, and they adapt and they evolve over the years to become more difficult, and then they just get bigger and bigger. And then when that didn't work, they started making them smaller, and then they're
right, yeah,
just like robot dudes, and then they weren't made out of metal, and they're just like the ultimate action figure line. Like, this is the Ice Sentinel, this is the Fire Sentinel.
Just repaints.
Yeah, just repaints. But so really, what I like about them is the reason they exist. Like, how does man create something greater than themselves to defeat, a supposed enemy, and that backstory or the dialogue that kind of creates. I think the Sentinels are a dialogue driver within the X-Men titles that no other villain has quite captured. So the X-Men get to take on those pretty heavy topics pretty organically because of the Sentinels and because of the people making them. That any other villain, it would just be like this crazy monologue while they're punching each other to try and get that story in. So the Sentinels do it for me.
What about like Bolivar Trask? Do you like throw him in there with the mix?
Yeah, like sometimes he's the reason they exist. Depending on which X-Men. Sometimes he's a bigger part in it. I think he's a good catalyst for why they exist. But whether it's Bolivar or the Senator or any other character, whoever creates the Sentinels gets to play that role. And I've never found any of them to be individually unique enough to like, oh, I like the Bolivar storyline with the Sentinels. Like, they're all placeholders for me. So,
all right. Number 4 in the chat, by the way, GLHG says Dr. Doom. He doesn't care. He's evil. He'll do what he must to achieve his goals. And I got a funny feeling, GL, it's not going to be the last time we talk about Dr. Doom today.
Nope, definitely not.
So let's roll right into Jason's number 4.
Well, my number 4 is the same as Delvin's, Green Goblin.
Oh.
And I can't really elaborate any better than Delvin did on why. I mean, if you think Spider-Man villains, Green Goblin jumps to the top of the list. Death of Gwen Stacy being right up there. Is there any more pivotal moment that forged the character of Spider-Man that continues to resonate even to this day?
Threw his girl off a cliff, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, off the top of a bridge. Just
Yep. And then, yeah, and ultimately it was Spider-Man himself that ended up killing her, trying to save her. And so, boy, that's got to mess with you. And it has. And yeah, like Delvin said, man, Green Goblin, it is personal.
Speaking of which, GLHG says that he thinks Jason would be the best villain with multiple personalities.
Here now, Mrs. Torrance.
He's got MJ. He's got Sean. Anyways, I guess that brings it to me for my number 4 villain. My number 4 villain might be just I won't go so far as to say he's the most evil on my list, but he knows who he is, and he does what he does, and he looks good doing it, is Deathstroke the Terminator. I like Deathstroke a lot. He's an often go-to villain for the Teen Titans. He shows up just about everybody's book to hand them their butts every once in a while. When he shows up that you've got a strong fight on your hand. And he's got a great costume. So what's not to love with Deathstroke the Terminator? Plus, I believe orange and blue, they always go together.
I can't argue
I see where this is going.
Yeah, recently.
Plus, you get somebody a gun and a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recently, Deathstroke just plunged a sword right through Batman's right thigh and pinned him to the ground. So that was very nice.
Well, I mean, and again, that just kind of goes to why I like Deathstroke so much. I mean, Batman's like the most feared physical combatant in DC, and Deathstroke is not afraid to take it to him and has handed him his butt on a couple of occasions. So that's not something a lot of folks on Deathstroke's power level can do.
Bruce Wayne's physical therapist should be getting suspicious.
This looks like a sword. Oh my god! Why?
I got two swords in my leg.
You got 2 swords in you, Bruce Wayne.
Don't you put that sword in your leg, Deathstroke. All right, Pat, round us out. What's your number 4?
All right. My number 4 is Lex Luthor. Because he's a very manipulating kind of guy and just out to rule the world. But if he would use his stuff for good, he'd make a good guy.
And see, I think he might show up some point on my list as well.
I'm sure he will.
but he, I gotta agree. You said if he uses stuff for good, that's the wonderful thing about Lex Luthor is most of the time he thinks
And he does. Yeah.
he's doing good.
Yep. He thinks he does. Or
And
is.
that's kind of where my number one guy is at too.
I think we're gonna have some similarities. Yeah. Up there.
So
Interesting.
With that, I'm going to have to say toodaloo, goodbye.
All right. Do you personally want to go ahead and reveal your last few, or you want me to handle them for you?
You can handle them for me if you want.
All right, I will.
I think it'll be fun. So I appreciate you guys listening, watching. So Tim, thank you for coming, and everybody out there, thank you. I got to run. Sorry, I got to run.
Bye, Pat.
Goodbye.
Well, bye. And so Pat leaves us with Lex Luthor as his number 4. All right, Delvin, remind everybody how they win today while I prep our next banner.
Absolutely. So if you want to win, and we have several people who do want to win, all you have to do is type in the comments, I want to win. We have Courtney, we have GL, we have Ross, we have Rick, and we have Ron went basically close enough. He said Craig Zablo wants to win, but
Yeah.
since Craig isn't here and Ron is, and he said it. And also, while you're still setting your stuff up, Rick has chimed in with his 5 and 4. And his number 5 is the Joker. I was going to give an evil laugh too, and I didn't. So I'm glad you did that.
Filled in for you.
And then his number 4 is also Green Goblin.
Very good. Very good. Very cool. Good job on that. Thanks for taking over there, Delvin.
Sorry, Angelica. I forgot to add you. You are added now.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, there she is. Sorry.
Dicey in there. Okay. Well, that brings us to round 3. And this time we will start with Mr. Tim Benson from OmahaBound.com. Who's your number 3 favorite villain?
Right.
They've all been plural so far, so I'm guessing Morlocks.
This one,
Morlocks are pretty cool, actually.
Right,
I might change my number 3.
So my number 3 is the big guy himself, Galactus.
Ooh.
Obviously, Fantastic Four and all that. But some of my favorite Galactus stories are maybe out of continuity or maybe throwaway, like when he shows up to fight Wolverine. And you're like, this is the stupidest thing possible. And then it's like really fun. But for me, Galactus was always just like, yeah, that, cool big villain that Fantastic Four fight until I read Earth X. And then Earth X kind of changed things for me. The Galactus, Celestials, all of that. It really tied Marvel all together. And finally gave Galactus a reason to not just be kind of just oblivious to things running around eating planets. Like he had an actual backstory that mattered.
Okay, I've never read Earth X, so this is news to me.
Earth X it's one of my favorites. So, and at the time when I first read it, I was just kind of getting back into comics, and I did not really understand it to be an alternate or an Elseworlds. I just thought it was here's the future of the Marvel Universe.
Interesting.
Cool Alex Ross covers too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that helps.
Yeah.
I think I may have Earth X, and
I
can't remember anything about it.
I'm saying I'm pretty sure I have it, and I drawn a blank.
I've got I read it a couple times, but just this week they make like a really big black and white, like so just the pencils and inks version of it, real oversized edition with a ton of extras and kind of a fancy edition. So
Ooh, I like fanciness.
Yeah.
The number 3 for Papa Wolf was Cobra Commander, and Chola's number 3 for the Mama Wolf is the Joker. Love it when people in the chat play along. We got Rick's number 3 is the Marauders. I was close. And Courtney, Baroness and Harley Quinn. She likes to squeeze in those extras. That Courtney does. But she's allowed because she's officially the Longbox PR representative. It says so on her Twitter bio, by the way, which amuses me to no end. I love it. All right, Jason, supervillain, rank number 3.
My number 3 is Lex Luthor. Again, as Pat alluded to, this is a man who does not see himself as the villain. He sees himself as the hero, as the savior. He's motivated by a lack of trust in anyone, especially Superman, who he's always waiting for that other shoe to drop on planet Earth. And to that degree, there's a part of you that's wondering, maybe that's not such a bad thing. Batman kind of does that too.
It's true.
You know, but I think the difference between a hero like Batman and a villain like Lex Luthor is that Batman truly is concerned about how he would stop Superman and save the planet if he had to. At the end of the day, he chooses to trust Superman, and Superman trusts him. Lex Luthor is he'll probably never admit it, but he feels inferior to Superman. He should have the adulation of the planet. He tries sometimes to be beneficent, but he doesn't do it for the sake of doing good. He does it for the sake of getting the praises of others. And so that makes him a very complex and interesting character and a real threat to the entire DC universe.
I concur. I believe he's yet to appear on my list. In our chat, we have GLHG sounding off. His number 3 is Sabretooth. Nothing better than envy and pride to make a murderous villain. And yes, I think we all caught that. Jason dropped. Boop.
$10 award.
And unfortunately, Ron only had 847.
So that's beneficent. That's all you get.
Oh, well, I'll be going next with what number are we on? 3. Oh, and I'm also going to be representing Pat, and which is going to work out really well because Pat and I both had the same number 3. Oh. And we both had the same number 2 as well. So this is going to be real nice for a couple of rounds. But Pat and I both had at number 3, Victor Von Doom, PhD. Yes, we both picked Dr. Doom in at number 3. Another one of those villains of the Lex Luthor caliber who does not think of himself as a villain. I am particularly fond of Dr. Doom because Dr. Doom's villainy really depends on what lens you look through. If you are the Fantastic Four, he is a villain. If you are 95% of the world, he is a villain. If you live in Latveria, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. He cares about his country. And that's noble. There's a noble streak in Dr. Doom, and that's what makes him interesting. He has an honor streak and a nobility streak. He's not just a mustache twirling villain. And that's why I like it. And I'm just going to assume that's what Pat said, except with fewer words. And sentence fragments more than likely were involved. So we're going.
But speaking of sentence fragments.
I've always wanted to read a Dr. Doom comic where he was just ruling Latveria.
Yes,
like
every
once in a while, like heroes would try and come like beat him up, and he's like, "Dude, I got this tax law I've got to pass."
Look, man, this bridge ain't gonna get itself built. I can't build a bridge and fight the thing on the same day. I got infrastructure to work on, man.
Infrastructure projects. God dang.
And that just leaves Delvin, number 3.
My number 3 is, and I caveat it, I said early Venom.
Early Venom.
Early Venom. Because now he's an anti-hero and they've explained his origin like further, of the symbiote and something about planet Kleintar and something. I don't read Venom now, so I don't know. But early Venom, the build-up to Venom was spectacular. To that, I think first appearance was in Amazing Spidey 298. Really full appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 300. But the build-up to that, first the symbiote costume being introduced, and then Eddie Brock being introduced separately. Then to have both of Eddie Brock and the symbiote having different reasons to hate Spider-Man and put them together. Venom never was necessarily like a bad guy. Like, yeah, he would kill you, but it was because you were in the way of him and Spider-Man. And just the way that he singularly tortured Spider-Man and was stronger and could negate Spider-Man's Spidey sense, he was a problem. Like, just a unique problem to Spider-Man. And it was like, when you read the books, you legitimately thought that Spidey was going to die. Like, because Venom, like, I want to suck your brains out, dude. Like, I want to. It was an event anytime he showed up. So
physically, he was more than a match for him too. So I mean, it was a threat.
Yeah, and like he got stronger because Eddie Brock was a reporter. He was never really too big or whatever. But then he got attached to the costume and he started like throwing up weights and, taking freaking Bane steroids and stuff. And so he got all jacked up. So the symbiote got stronger. Like, and so, yeah, I love that dynamic that they had.
Definitely enjoy some early Venom. I still can't, racking my brain, I can't think of the last truly great new villain. I think Venom might have been the last truly great new villain.
And
that was
Spidey?
like in comics.
Okay.
I mean, we've named some, but all the ones we've named are pretty old. I would wager that Venom might be the youngest villain on our list overall today.
Yep, he is on mine. With 2 to go, he is definitely the youngest.
Taking a look at the list so far, and yeah, he's the youngest of everybody so far. I think the next closest one would probably be Storm Shadow. But anyway, good pick, Delvin. That ends up our round 3, I do believe. Everybody got to go, right? Right.
Yeah.
All right. Then a quick reminder, if you want to win anything in our raffle that comes at the end of the show, please put "I want to win" in the chat. Delvin, who we got so far?
So far, we have Courtney, we have GL, we have Ross Michaud, we have Rick, we have Ron Went, we have Angelica Fetty Wolf.
And Tim Benson. I have Tim Benson on the list.
And apparently Clintar's where all the symbiotes come from, Delvin. I just learned that courtesy of Ronald Went.
I've done a little bit of reading on Venom, and I just saw that. And I'm like, yeah.
I was reading Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it was, when they crossed over, and Venom was crossing over with Guardians, and I think I do recall this Clintar, I think, from that storyline. But
yeah,
as much as I know.
Yeah, they have given him an entire background, and I remember they were kind of making the decision to, they made him an anti-hero, and his first miniseries came out. Mark Bagley drew it, so I mean they put a name behind it, And I mean, it was beautiful. It's pretty looking and all that. And now Venom isn't quite the bad guy anymore. He's kind of more good guy than bad now, I think.
Well, he's too popular in the way that like the Punisher and Deadpool and Harley Quinn, like they're too popular to be villains.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I was a little tempted to pick up the Venom backstory in the same way that, like, oh, we're going to tell you Wolverine's origin. Like, there's a little part of me that's intrigued. I've kept it at bay.
Yeah, when they did when they came out with a regular series for him, I guess it had just kind of passed my time on the just attention span of it. It's like, I like him fighting Spidey. There was one time he fought like Spidey and they were fighting, and Spidey said, like, I would give every penny I've ever earned and cut off my pinky if he would just go away. He just wanted to be done with Venom. Like, I can't do anything with this dude. I hate fighting this guy. And Spidey's no weakling, you know? So yeah, now
well, I want us to chase a rabbit hole and go around the horn real quick with our thoughts on the Venom movie. I'll let you know that I actually enjoyed it. I would give it about a 7 out of 10, but Delvin.
Ooh. What would I rate Venom, the movie?
Yeah, how'd you feel about the movie? Since we're on this Venom track real quick, I thought we'd just toss that around real fast.
I'm with you there. I think 7 out of 10 is good. Like, I saw it and was like, yeah, this is pleasant enough. It, they're always going to take some liberties. I was curious as to how they were going to define Venom without Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely.
And they did a good job of that, I think. And I think they did a good job of introducing Venom. I think, what's his name?
Mad Max.
Yeah. Mad Max did a good job playing Venom. And I would watch Venom 2 when they teased at the end Woody Harrelson playing Carnage. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how are they going to play up Cletus Cassidy? So, yeah. I thought they laid the groundwork pretty good, and I thought that it made the money that it should have made. It did for the movie it was. Jason, did either of you watch it?
Yep, I saw it, and I thought the same thing. I think you could have called it whatever you wanted and made it the movie, and didn't have to even be a Marvel movie. Because it was just a movie. The only reason I went to see it is because you called it Venom. And had that familiar stuff, but I think it was just a good action movie. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll round it out 7 out of 10 as well. I wasn't really excited to go see it. The trailers really didn't do it justice.
Nope.
I thought the trailers didn't help it any, but fortunately, I think word of mouth and social media helped carry it forward as people actually saw it. And this is one case where I think social media actually said, hey, this isn't so bad. So I went in and checked it out, and they're right. It was actually well written, well performed, and I'll go check out it.
That's
Tom Hardy.
That's right.
Yeah. Mad Max.
Also Bane.
Yes. Well, no.
All right. Well, we've got some folks in the chat weigh in on it. Ron Went just weighed in. So he enjoyed the movie, but despised the lack of the white spider logo. Yeah, the white spider logo does kind of icy on the cake. Anyway, that was just a quick side step. That rounds out round 3 for us, doesn't it? So let me change the banner. There we go. We're all into our top 2 supervillains. So folks in the chat, start letting us know what's your number 2 favorite supervillain on your list. And I believe this time we start with somebody. Tim made a noise. We'll start with you, Tim. Who's your number?
First last time. I think it's Jason.
Okay, Jason.
Well, my number 2, as everyone knows, I'm a huge X-Men fan, so you've got to go with Magneto. Magneto is one of those tragic villains. that is defined by loss and pain inflicted upon him, which he is inflicting back on the world under the guise of protecting mutants. And yeah, he's just powerful. Whenever he shows up in the book, the X-Men are in for a fight, and not only are you in for a good fight, but you're kind of left. It's one of those characters you're kind of left seeing his point of view a little bit, and wondering if maybe Charles Xavier is a little bit naive. Maybe the X-Men are a little bit naive. Maybe there has maybe Magneto has a point.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the world's biggest recruiting pitch to get me to sign on with Magneto.
No, especially if you're a mutant. And if I was a mutant with like some lane power, like I got feathers, but they're like penguin feathers, and I can't fly or something. And I got like big feet, and and I got a waddle, so I can't run very fast. Magneto would take me in. He'd take me in, and he'd protect me. So I'd be with him. The X-Men would be like, we don't really need a penguin. We don't need a penguin guy. Yes, right. Of course, they took gold balls. So
gold balls would be pretty powerful, though.
Yeah, gold balls is part of that formula, man. That mystical X-Men formula right now.
Yep.
Rick Heinekin weighed in with his number 2 villain. He went with Thanos. We got the Wolf vote again. Papa Wolf is in on Shredder, and Mama Wolf is in on Mystique.
Mystique is a very good one.
Doesn't Papa Wolf get Shredder in there like somehow every?
I think both had Shredder now at one point on his list.
Andre likes the Turtles.
Courtney cheated again and went with 2, but we still love her because she's allowed to do that. Magneto and Megatron. Woof.
Mag and Meg.
I thought about Megatron. I like Starscream better as a bad guy than Megatron. He's just you love to hate him. He's just sniveling, and he's always. If he's the number 2 guy, sometimes the number 3, but it's like if you slip for half a second, he will cut your throat and take that number 1 spot. He is always looking for it. Like something about that is even better than Megatron. Megatron isn't one note, but Starscream is just so.
He's conniving.
And visually, he looks. I think out of all of the Decepticons, he's like the coolest.
Starscream.
Yeah, like he just looks cool.
Well, we got GLHG weighed in at his number 3 as the Joker. And you know what? Since it's my turn, that was his 3, or was that his 2? Did I read that wrong? No, I think you might have meant.
It's his number 2.
It's his number 2 is the Joker, I think. Just a little typo. And you know what? That puts him in some pretty good company because I have at my number 2 slot the Joker. And since Pat had to leave and I've got his list in front of me, he had in his number 2 slot the Joker. So GLHG, myself, Pat, we all have the Joker at number 2. The Joker is just straight up villainy. He's just straight up villainy, period. He's unpredictable. And that's probably why he doesn't make number 1, is that he's not, he doesn't have a whole, what was he said in the movie? Do I look like the kind of guy who has a plan? Doesn't necessarily have a plan all the time. He's an agent of chaos. But I will say this, I've often said, I think he is the most scary of all the villains. I think if you were walking down a dark alley and there's a quick lightning storm and a light flash, and you saw one villain stand in that alley, the last one you'd want to see is him. I'd rather see Dr. Doom. I'd rather see Magneto. I'd rather see Lex Luthor because you die again with them. And the Joker, that's a hard night right there. So, yep,
that was one of my favorite Batman the Animated Series. Was the one where the guy had like road rage against the Joker.
No,
when they're about not a good idea.
Not a good move.
It's funny. he is intriguing, but they need to stop falling in the trap of acting as if the Joker is the only villain that they can like put Batman on the opposite side of.
Mhm.
Like Batman has an awesome rogues gallery, and they make Joker out. Even right now in the book, like in present continuity, there's the Joker war going on, and they had this setup leading up to it that like there was this big bad guy that had that kind of organized the crime and had Joker, Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler under his wing. But it turned out that Joker had already like killed off that old bad guy and everything. And it's just like every time Joker is the bad guy. Now, even to the point that like all the other villains, they're like, nah, we're staying out of this. They've gone underground. All the villains have gone underground. It's like, we're not even messing around with the Joker. He's crazy. I'm not. And it's like, is he that much of a badass? Is he?
He's scary, though. That's the whole thing. He's just scary.
But I say all that, but like on Dark Knight Returns, like him burning the money,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because of the chaos. It's just like, oh,
Ooh.
like there's nothing worse than someone who's committed to their cause, and that's when he's at his best. I just like they've made him into this boogeyman, though, and that's the part of it where I'm just kind of like, so he can never be touched, really? That's the part where I'm kind of.
No, I hear what you're saying, because if you look at Batman has a great rogues gallery, Spider-Man has a great rogues gallery, and but if you look at the Spider-Man one, no one is really head and shoulders above anybody else. You can make an argument for Green Goblin, but I mean, you've got Kraven, you've got Doc Ock, I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Same thing with Batman, but like you said, like they just moved the Joker so much further from the rest of the pack. So I read what you're saying. I gotta toss in John Beatty, by the way, mentioning up Molecule Man, which is a villain I hadn't even thought about in a long time.
Didn't he and Volcano hook up in Secret Wars or something? Whatever happened?
I think the last time I remember seeing Molecule Man was in Secret Wars. I don't know what he's been doing since then. Me and Molecule Man ain't talked since '84. But he was cool. He's right. He could manipulate all those molecules. I don't know what he's been up to.
I don't know either. I don't know. John, I think the last time I saw him was when you inked him.
Which is a shame, I think, because I was like, oh, this cat is cool. So, I mean, John makes a good point. So we've got mine number 2, Pat's number 2. We've got Jason. I guess that moves it to Delvin. Who's got your second fiddle slot for awesome villain?
Jason's already mentioned him. My number 2 is Magneto.
That's an attractive choice.
Yeah. I see what you did.
Hang
there.
All right.
Yeah. Magneto made Wolverine scream.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Not many people do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like ever. Like Magneto finally, I mean, after years of messing around with this dude, finally is like, you know what? I can do this, and I'm going to pull every molecule of adamantium from your body, like, just to torture you. Like, at one point, they have made him, I mean, he's been all over the place. They've made him so powerful at one point in order to bring Kitty Pryde back, who was fused into an asteroid. He wanted to prove that he was on the side of the good guys again. And so he sat on top of some hill and he meditated and he found this asteroid floating out in space and used his powers to pull Kitty Pryde back to Earth from being trapped in that asteroid. Like, the dude has been insanely powerful. Like, and on top of having like a lot of times where he's right, like maybe not 100% right, but he's right enough where it's like, yeah, we're really powerful And if they don't want to exist with us, we can just kill them.
Gonna lose that
and Charles is like, and no, we must understand their ways. And Magneto's like, I have magnetic powers. I can pull iron from their body. They're dead. Just like that. No, but we must
Yeah.
Yeah. Magneto has some points, is all I'm saying.
All about how much BS you could put up with. What's your breaking point, right? And
well, it's interesting too, because there's that saying, that if you stare into the abyss, you become the monster. And Magneto stared into the abyss. He was there when his parents were killed, when his whole family was wiped out. And his solution, his philosophy today, is one step removed from that very same solution that killed his family. And I think that's what he doesn't get. It's you are becoming the same thing that you're fighting against.
Good point, Jason.
We got deep on that one.
Yeah.
I hope Tim Benson lightens things up and he's like the Beetle,
He's so annoying. He buzzes around. It's like, ooh.
Speaking of which, Tim, you get to bring us home with your number 2.
All right, I'm gonna get my number 2, and it's not lighthearted, I guess. My number 2 is Annihilus.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah,
the Fantastic Four Negative Zone, and yeah, I mean, not a ton of reason really. He's in charge of the Negative Zone. It's dying. There's this cool other, not Negative Zone that he could just take
positive
over.
zone, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. And so he just does, or he tries to. And he knows exactly what he's doing, and he doesn't care. And some of the villains or the heroes have trouble with that. So, and
it's kind of cool. Wasn't it Reed Richards that went knocking on the door of the Negative Zone that drew his attention to begin with? It's like, hey.
Reed is usually the reason for most of the problems. So.
He does create a lot of his own problems.
He does create
science
problems.
Yeah. So. And the latest Fantastic Four movie that nobody likes, and we don't need to talk about it too much, but the end of it, throughout the entire movie, you use the color green with purple tints, and then you don't have a teaser at the end with Annihilus. I don't know what they're doing.
They didn't know what they were doing.
I was perfectly fine. I was fine with the movie until that. Okay, you could have spent a couple $1,000s on a little CG to make an Annihilus shadow.
Well, based off the box office receipts, they aren't doing anything.
I remember hearing how bad this movie was. It's bad. It's terrible. It's bad. It was like a -80 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. I made that up. I know there's not negative on Rotten Tomatoes, and I at some point I sat down and I watched it, and it wasn't good. But they were sort of trying to string a storyline along, and that last act, you can tell everybody just gave up. They gave up on quality of how it looked. They gave up on story. It just fell apart, and that was where just I don't.
Yeah, I was kind of in it on the first half. It's like my interest meter just was like. Steady decline.
Fantastic Four is they're too good of a team. They're an iconic team. I don't know how the first 2 weren't bad, but there should be a movie. There's that, and you have Dr. Doom, who's an all-timer, and for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's the producer of the movie, whether it's the director, they keep looking at Dr. Doom's costume. And they're like, this is ridiculous, and it won't translate to screen.
Yes.
And meanwhile, you can go to any Comic-Con and you get some dude cosplaying as Dr. Doom, and it looks amazing. And it's You sure that this can't translate to the screen? Like,
Yeah, that was
good here.
That was my biggest problem with the movie. I think was it the first one they had Doom or the second one? I don't know. They had the Nip Tuck guy that started as Doctor Doom, which was totally miscast to begin with, and then it's like, well, now it's got to be this biotechnical organic thing that like, no, man. This is part of his character. That armor is part of his character. That armor identifies who he is. That armor hides the scars that he is so self-conscious about that he'll never let anybody see his face. It's like you're missing the whole point of Doctor Doom. And yeah, I agree with you, Delvin. First two movies weren't bad, but they just can't get Doom right for whatever reason. And he's already right. He's right. Just take that and do that.
He's Doom. He is Doom.
Yeah, he's one part Iron Man, one part Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
that's it. That's who he is. All right. Well, that got us all the way. Our number 2 slots. As we move into number 1, our number 2, Pat and I both had the Joker. Jason and Delvin had Magneto, and Tim had Annihilus. Just going to get us to our number 1. If you've joined the chat recently and you want to win a little something at the end as a free giveaway, just put I want to win in the chat. This is probably your last chance to do that. So please go ahead and do that if you want to win. As we move. What's that?
So we want you to win.
We do. We want. We like
yeah.
Some big things are happening at Tim's house. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So
there's a big project going on.
I've hit my time. And
okay. Well, let's get you your number 1 out there, and then you can bail whenever you want.
Okay. My son has joined us. So
all right. Who's his number 1?
Yeah. What's his number 1? Let's see. Nope, he doesn't have one. So my number 1, it's not a joke. When you sent
Firebug,
hey, we're doing live show, top 5 villains, it was immediate. Like without hesitation, I knew my number 1.
Okay, good.
And then I had to go do research on the other 4. But the number 1, without question, my favorite villain is Turk from Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
None of you know who he is.
I know who Turk is. Yeah, he didn't he get like one of the stones, one of the Infinity Stones, and the Mind Stone, I think, or
yeah. He was always he was at the bar, and Daredevil would go beat people up to get some information. He was always there selling, guns out of his trunk or doing something really stupid.
He'd be in the middle of it. 9 times out of 10, be able to talk himself out of it.
Yeah, he didn't always know what he was in. Like, he didn't know quite what he was involved in. He just knew that somebody with money was probably around, and he might get some. And then one day he stole the Stiltman armor, and I thought, oh no, they're gonna ruin him. Like, they're gonna turn him into the next Stiltman, and he's gonna be ruined forever.
Uh-oh. Where's Van? Where's Van out?
Stiltman. He did Stiltman just like he's Turk in a Stiltman armor. He was terrible, and he just did a terrible job. And he, Daredevil, just kind of casually walked behind him and knocked him down. So Turk is for a character like Daredevil, just my favorite. So, hey.
That no one saw that one coming. So if you had Turk on your bets list for today,
can talk about Dr. Doom and Darkseid, and I got Turk.
Turk's a good one. Now Turk's been in the on the Netflix series. He's been a reoccurring character on all of them. Yeah, he is hilarious.
The big question we got was from John asking what I'm going to be having for dinner. By the way,
chicken.
I don't know. My family is currently over at my in-laws, and I never know what they're going to bring back on Sunday.
We're all staring at that door.
I don't think they'll be back till about 6:30. So I don't think you're going to get to see it. But chicken's a good bet. It's a good bet. Speaking of good bets, Rick Heineken chimed in with his number 1, the Red Skull. Not bad.
Ooh, yeah,
I kind of like.
long and hard about.
I
Red
did too.
Skull.
Like my honorable mentions are definitely Red Skull and Kingpin. That just didn't quite crack onto my list. Just checking on a couple other number ones from the chat. Oh, my chat just kind of updated and jumped all around. There we go. We got Negan from The Walking Dead and Magneto at the Chola household. Interesting. And
some Kingpin votes.
Was there Kingpin votes?
Yeah.
My chat just kind of just jumped all over the place. So let's see. Sinestro for GLHG. Who could have seen it coming, right? And Ross Michaud. 1 through 5 is the Kingpin. Okay.
Kingpin has his, hands in a lot of pies across the Marvel universe.
That's
You're
true.
never going to go too far without seeing him somewhere.
I gave him some serious consideration, and you wouldn't take too much convincing to get me off. You to get him to crack into my list as well. I like Kingpin, certainly, but I think it's time for Jason to wait
for the number one.
Oh, I'm gonna bow out real quick.
Oh,
understood. Take
Bye,
care,
Tim.
Tim. Thanks for stopping by.
Adorable fun.
Yep. Thanks for hanging with us. Oh, there he is. There's his hand.
There he is.
All right. What do you got, Jason?
My number one is going to be Dr. Doom. And we've already talked about Dr. Doom a little bit, but I think it bears repeating that he's one of the villains that sometimes has a good point. And one of the recent comics I was reading with the X-Men and Fantastic Four crossover, Dr. Doom gets into this philosophical debate with Cyclops about what the X-Men are doing with this new island nation that they're forming, and Cyclops kind of makes a veiled threat to him, and Doom's like not having any of it and says, the problem with you guys is you think because you're born with this power that it gives you something special. So I wasn't born with anything. None of my people are born with anything. But if you don't think that we will take you down and take you out, then you got another thing coming. And I was sitting there, I was like, Doom kind of got a point, man. I don't like some of the stuff X-Men are doing on X-Men Island. Doom doesn't like some of the stuff that they're doing on X-Men Island. And the difference between me and Doom is Doom going to do something about it.
Yep.
And that's what makes him number one villain in my book.
Dr. Doom, number one for Jason. Nice. I had Doom at 3, and so did Pat. Looking at Delvin's list, Doom has yet to show up. We've hit the number one mark, Delvin. Who's your number one? Is it Victor Von Doom? DDS?
Yes.
Woo!
Von Doom. At one point, Doom won. He took over the entire universe.
And he's just a dude.
And that's plausible because that's a thing that Victor Von Doom can do, because when all of his ducks are in a row, no one can stop him. At one point, he wiped Wakanda off the face of the planet. Black Panther is nothing to sneeze at. He beat Black Panther. Like, yeah, see ya. He has taken the Fantastic Four to the limit every single time. Like at one point, and I wish I could remember the storyline. Like he helped deliver their daughter,
Valeria, sorry, yeah.
And then like attached like a ward to her or something like that basically possessed her and used the daughter against them. Like he has been so like he is like there was a time in the 90s, like when they were starting to do the anti-hero thing or whatever, and it was just a one shot, but they made a one shot of Doctor Doom, which was practically unheard of with a bad guy being the leader of the book. Like, and again, it's Doom, so it's plausible. It's not like warping him outside of the realm of anything that he is. Like, he is an all-timer, and he was the first person I thought of when I wrote it. He has worked his way into, he's been a full of Iron Mans. He is that unbeatable foe that Spider-Man has to fight every now and again. Like, he's been everywhere. And every time he can just fit plausibly into any storyline to be nearly anything that happens, and it still works. So he's my number one.
And you're right. He can go like he's in every book. Like, he's been an Avengers villain. He's been an X-Men villain, Fantastic Four, of course. You know, he's teamed up with Doctor Strange. It's like, yeah. I mean, whenever you see him in the book, you know, some crazy stuff's about to go down.
It's just, to me, it is implausible. Like, the whole premise of Secret Wars, the newest Secret Wars, he won. Doom won. The universe was his. And eventually, I mean, they did wrap it back up that even while he had owned the entire universe, he flat out admitted to Reed, is like, I'll never be the man you are. And that's just, but of course, that's always a part. But it drives him. And he may not be the man that Reed Richards is going to be, but he definitely tries. He tries, and more often than not, he succeeds because he's Doom.
Victor Von Doom, DDS, getting a lot of votes.
Black Adam was one I thought. I see Green Lantern HG. That was one that I strongly considered too.
I had a strong consideration for Ross Michaud's comments.
Stegra.
Stegron. Sorry.
John Bailey gave you props because his number one was also Dr. Doom. And then, of course, we got the honorable mentions of Doomsday, Black Adam, and Ventriloquist and Craven. I like Craven a lot too, Gio.
I too, yeah.
Ken Solo, a little late to the party, but he's always welcome here. Did his top 5. Mr. Sinister, Mastermind, Brainiac, Omega Red, and Vandal Savage. That's a unique list. I like
Vandal Savage is a good one. Yeah.
I like that. I will now reveal Pat's number one he entrusted me with. And it is none other than the master of magnetism himself, Magneto. Pat had Magneto at 1, Joker at 2, Dr. Doom at 3, Lex Luthor at 4, and Ra's al Ghul at 5.
I like the race pick. Ra's race.
Rash, whatever. Yes. Delvin, in summary, had Doom at 1, Magneto at 2, Venom at 3, Green Goblin at Magneto at 4. I'll get it. Magneto at 2, Venom at 3. I've got scores written down next to them, so I got 2 sets of numbers. Anyway, Venom it was his number 3, Green Goblin 2, and dang it, it's all backwards. I'll get it. Start this from the top. All right, Delvin had Dr. Doom at number 1. Number 2 is Magneto. 3, Venom. 4, Green Goblin. 5, Sinestro. Jason had Dr. Doom at number 1. Magneto. 2, Lex Luthor. 3, Green Goblin. 4, and Storm Shadow at number 5. Tim Benson had Turk at number 1. Annihilus 2, Galactus 3, Sentinels 4, and The Hand at 5, which just leaves myself. I wonder if Jason could guess. Knowing that 5 was Man-Bat, 4 was Deathstroke, 3 was Dr. Doom, 2 was the Joker. My number 1 is...
Ooh, let's see. I'm going to guess it's got to be a Batman villain.
Not, I wouldn't say it's primarily a Batman villain, but they have squared off. More like Bruce Wayne and him have squared off.
Oh, like, okay. You haven't mentioned Lex Luthor yet, have you?
Bingo!
Lex Luthor, then. Oh, there it is.
My number 1 villain is Lex Luthor. For a lot of the same reasons as Dr. Doom, I kind of view them very similarly.
Yeah.
Both think they're doing the right thing. And I got to give it up for Lex Luthor for squaring off. I mean, his main arch nemesis is Superman, right? Most powerful dude in like ever. And yet Lex Luthor's still doing it. Lex Luthor did all those things, and don't anyone bastardize our show and turn it into something it's not. But he got elected president of the United States, and he's just unstoppable. It's interesting to watch a man. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? Strategist.
Strategist. Yep.
He just plans ahead, and I like it. And again, my favorite kinds of villains are of the Doctor Doom caliber, of the Magneto caliber, of the Lex Luthor. None of them think they're the villain. They all think they're the hero of their own story.
Yep.
So really, any of those could be interchangeable with me, but I just like Lex's style. I just like his style. And I guess the only question left is, do we like fit and buff Lex Luthor or old pudgy Lex Luthor? But Delvin's not here to vote. So
I like fit and buff.
You like fit and buff?
I like fit and buff. Yeah, he looks good in that that battle armor that he uses sometimes.
So yep. Again, you could mix them up. Really, I do like him. I would like to point out though. I think some of the villains that we've talked about that have gotten their own ongoing series. I think Venom got one. I think Joker had an ongoing series for a while. I don't know that Lex ever got one. Dr. Doom did. I know with 2099 at least.
Yep.
So interesting.
Yep. Doom's had a lot of little mini series, and like Devin said, a one shot here and there.
Yeah. Good
always
stuff.
Entertaining. Always good reads.
Always a good read. So there you have it. Now there's a whole debate now going on in the chat about DC versus Marvel villains.
Here we go.
Boy, that's a whole opportunity for a discussion for another day. But off the top of my head, I would say that I think. Let me just look at my top 5 list, and let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3. I do have 4 out of 5 are DC, which is odd because I do think Marvel has a better stable overall. But just my favorites happen to come from there. But I did the math, Jason. I did the math out of everybody present today to find out who the aggregated favorites were.
Okay.
So overall, from our entire team, Dr. Doom came in first. As the number 1 Longbox Crusade villain is Dr. Doom. Second place is Magneto. And third place is Lex Luthor.
I think that sounds about right. Can't argue with those results.
So there you have it.
I think Green Goblin probably scored pretty well though too.
He did. He got a lot of mentions, but all of his mentions were in the lower point value categories.
Okay. No love for the cornrows.
I think he probably would have ended up in third or fourth. I just did top 3, which was Doom, Magneto, and Lex Luthor. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Now we need Delvin to come back from wherever the heck he is to do our giveaway raffle here at the end. So this is an absolute last chance. If you're in the chat and you want to win the giveaway for today, type "I want to win" in the chat. And
who do we have so far, Jared?
According to my list, which is unofficial, Delvin's list is official, which is why we need him to come back. I've got Courtney, Ross, GLHG, Tim Benson, Chola, Rick, Ronald.
Okay.
I probably am missing somebody. So my list is not official. And let's all just stare at Delvin's blank square. We'll get him back. All right. Well, I'll show you what you're in for today if you win. Today is Retro Day.
That way you're wearing the cassette tape T-shirt?
Cassette tape T-shirt. Okay. Today, if you win, you're going to win a very nice copy, and hopefully you still have something to play this on. You're going to win a very nice box set trilogy of the original Star Wars on VHS.
Some magnetic media up in that piece.
That's right. If you like old school, today's the day. You are going to win some Star Wars on VH and S. And just to bring it slightly more modern, even though not to the most modern, you will win that along with
Uh-oh.
What goes good with Star Wars? It's already over my head, by the way. James Bond.
Ah,
So you'll get Star Wars on VHS and Goldfinger
on
DVD. So bust out your VHS players, you guys. Watch some Star Wars and some James Bond on your DVD. All we need now is Delvin. Everyone's calling for Delvin in the chat.
Delvin.
So everybody just stare at the blank square, I guess.
All right, just staring.
Stare at the blank square. Oh, I'm going to leave too. Goodbye, everyone.
You can share some of that chicken with me, I hope.
I'm looking for Delvin right now.
Ah, is he under your bed?
No. I'm back. Did he seriously left? Oh my goodness.
I think somebody's knocking at my door. Hold on.
It's all coming apart. Oh my goodness. And then there was just me. Sigh. Well, I can show you some things I got at yard sale this weekend. If you missed that live stream earlier, is anyone else excited about my Belle Biv DeVoe cassette or my Ghostbusters 2 cassette single of Bobby Brown singing "On Our Own"? Because that was exciting. Oh my goodness! And then it all came apart. All right. I could do dad jokes for a while if you like. Sleight of hand magic tricks. Or I can answer questions like this. Fight between Luther and Doom. Who wins? Boy, I tell you what. Instinctively, I would say Dr. Doom. I mean, he's got magical powers and technology powers. And Luther's got some technology stuff, but doesn't really have a ton of magical stuff to fall back on. But it's almost like that old question of when you fight Batman. Like if Luther had all the time in the world to prepare, he might be able to outfox Doom, which is not easy. But my instinct says Doom will take that one. John says that I should do Dad Rap Live. And Chola clearly likes my Poison cassette. and I get people calling for impressions. I do 2 impressions. I do Sean Connery and I do Christopher Walken. Those are your 2 choices. John also wants to see some magic tricks. Oh, Delvin's back. Well, now we can proceed.
Hey, hi, hello there. Hey.
All we're waiting on is for you to tell us who's on your list so we can give away.
Did we get anyone else?
I didn't see anyone else popping, and I ran one more while you were gone.
And Ross, just so you know, you were asking for a search and rescue team. I'm sorry, I fell off a cliff. I died on impact.
Good.
But I resurrected myself. I got better. Yeah. We got Courtney. We got GLHG. We got Ross Michaud. We got Rick Heineken. We got Ronald Went. We got Angelica Fetty Wolf. Did we forget anyone?
My list.
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Tim, Chola, Rick, and Ronald.
I forgot about Tim. Courtney wondered, did I feel the earthquake today? Yeah, I did actually, but not to any serious extent. I was like asleep and I heard or felt it. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, is this an earthquake? It's like, okay, if it keeps going, I'll wake up. And it kind of tapered off. I'm like, we're right back
and I was all like, earthquake, shut up already. Damn. Oh, that's a dope beat you got. You nailed it. All right. How many names total do we have?
That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names.
6 names total. Put them in any random order. And Courtney, do your job and give us a number between 1 and 6. And we're going to find out who the big winner is of the Star Wars on VHS collection with a little James Bond and Goldfinger to throw in with it. 1 through 6. And we wait patiently for Courtney's number. What will it be? Will it be a 1?
Now.
A 2? A 3?
What will it be?
A 4? 5? Or a 6?
Sorry, everybody. Had my cat food delivered.
All right. All we're doing is waiting on Courtney to pick our number between 1 and 6. And we will be set. As I prepare the giveaway for our Crusaders Club member, don't have to be present to win.
Was that the Star Wars VHS? Hey, that cat food's man. Those cats eat better than I do.
Maybe Courtney didn't hear us. She could have stepped away.
GLHG shouting at her. GLHG, save us. Since you're at your keyboard, go with a 1 through 6, buddy. You can take over for Courtney. She said it's okay. Cat food. I tell you what, let's see here. She fell off a cliff too. Boom.
Apparently it's catching on. Oh, there she is. Number 3.
Oh, there we go. Who's number 3? Who's getting the Star Wars on VHS accompanied with
Goldfinger?
So technically they're getting Moonraker. That's what you're saying.
Oh, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for that joke.
Are you?
Why do you hide?
Giving it to GL with a ring in the sky.
GLHG. You said that's the winner?
Yes.
He's the man?
He is the
All
man.
right.
All right. One of these films is going to be featured on an upcoming episode of Action Film Face Off.
Ooh, well, you're giving away the ghost now.
One of these movies is going to be on there.
I just watched it last night.
Woo! All right. The only thing left to do is give away our Patreon prize pack. So if you are a Patreon member, you're entered to win. You don't even have to be here. If you're not, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/Longbox Crusade. For as little as $1, you can join the crusade and you get entered for these raffles without even having to be here. So,
All right. I mean, send my dollar in right now.
I prefer you to be here, by the way. First item that you would win. I'll tell you what, I'll go like this.
Uh-oh.
Would be Sherlock Holmes, the puzzle case box game.
That's a fun game, too. Jared and I played that when I was visiting.
There's a reason we're giving it away.
I was trying.
I'm going to tell you right now, these puzzles are not easy. They're
No.
challenging as all get out.
It's like you got to do math and stuff, man.
You got to do math and stuff, and it's a whole box full of adventure. Sherlock Holmes puzzle game. You should definitely check out Saturday Matinee Theater on the Longbox Crusade Podcast Network. You know, it's funny. We talked about good old Ross Race or whatever Al Ghul today because we're going to give away his action figure with the Sherlock Holmes game.
That's cool.
And if you're like, well, you know, I don't know if my $1 a month is worth the Sherlock Holmes puzzle case game and a Ra's al Ghul figure, then I will see you one gigantic Iron Man figure.
Oh, see, I need that. That's what I need.
This Iron Man figure will also come in your prize pack. He's large.
We give you swag. I'm telling you.
We give away stuff.
Tell them to join up. They only have to listen to the podcast. They just might get free stuff.
You'd never know.
Also, listen to the podcast.
Because it's entertaining and stuff.
There you go. Let's see. I think I have one specifically for our. There it is. There you go. That makes life easy. All right.
There it is, right there.
All I got to do is go to Patreon
Okay, so if I go there right now and I send my $1 a month,
yeah, go ahead and do that. And we currently have 28 members of the Crusaders Club. I've got a randomized list. Delvin, pick a number between 1 and 28.
2.
2. Click back over to the tab. And you know who thanks you? Congratulations, Jim Jarman. These are now your toys.
Awesome.
Jim Jarman. He will be getting the Sherlock Holmes puzzle case game and the large Iron Man and the Ra's al Ghul action figure.
Nice.
There you have it, folks.
Good stuff. Good swag.
Hang on. I got to fix something for Ron. It must have gotten bumped because it bothered me the minute he pointed it out to me. Apparently, we share the same OCD.
Can you put a little space between that? That's hilarious.
And then I was like, what's he talking about? And then I saw it in my own screen and I was like, son.
You got to fix that right away.
It bothers me too. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here for Top Villains. We will see everybody next month on the second Sunday of the month. It's not a holiday next month, is it?
Don't think so.
Third Sunday of the month. It's always 3:30 p.m. Central Time. We encourage you to come check out the Longbox Crusade podcast. Please go ahead and like this video if you had a little fun today. If you didn't have any fun, then like it ironically. Or sarcastically. Like it sarcastically.
Yeah, we'll take sarcastic likes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you guys are great.
Yeah.
We'll be like, did you hear that? They said we're great.
Any other announcements, Delvin?
I have no other announcements other than, please come along, listen to us. Like, we put a decent amount of work into this stuff, especially Jared, especially Pat. But we do have a lot of fun and we enjoy doing this. So the more people that listen to it, you never know what that like on here does. You never know what that retweet or like on Twitter does. You never know what that comment on iTunes does. If it just exposes us to just a few more people, that's what we want to do it for. Like, definitely not in it for the fame or fortune. We just like to have fun doing it. More people get to listen to it. That's what we want.
We just want to expose ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. Just absolute. Sorry, the camera's big on me.
Whoa, watch out.
There's one rule.
Jason, any announcements or final thoughts?
Just tagging on to what Delvin said. Yeah, every like and retweet helps us out, and what we'd really like too is to hear from you. So, throw us a comment. Tell us what we're doing that you like. If something, if we're if we're not covering something that you'd like us to cover, let us know. Let us know how we can improve. And I think we work hard to put out a good product, but we can do better. If we hear from you guys. So.
And speaking of hearing from people, I want to give a shout out to Courtney Holland, who did suggest that we do top 5 villains for this episode.
See, we listened.
We listened, and that's what we did. So thank you for the topic today, Courtney. Thanks for everybody who tuned in and chimed in, especially you guys who chimed in with the chat with your favorite villains. That's what makes it so much more fun. So thanks for being here. If you're also a fan of our other network under the White Rocket umbrella of On Her Majesty's Secret Podcast, at midnight tonight-ish, depending, podcast time, whenever the computers decide to post it. But I have it scheduled for midnight tonight, I think Central Time. A new episode will drop off on Her Majesty's Secret Podcast, where I do phase 1 of a video game documentary I'm doing of all the James Bond appearances in video games, 1983 to 1989. That comes out tonight. If you need to know more about that, then just tune your podcatcher to On Her Majesty's Secret Podcast and find us there as well. And with that, on behalf of Pat Sampson and the entire Longbox Crusade family, with the exception of Clinton, who's not allowed out of the basement, I want to say thanks, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace, everybody. Thank you so much for listening.
Act Pro.